Ghana is the first country in West Africa to establish a Council on Foreign Relations, CFR. The Council on Foreign Relations Ghana, which was inaugurated by President Akufo-Addo, is a think tank specializing in Ghana's foreign policy and international affairs. Edward Nyakon reports.
The Council on Foreign Relations Ghana is modeled after the U.S. Council on Foreign Relations and the UK variant known as Chatham House. The drive to set up Ghana's version started over a decade ago by Mr. Cabral Bril Amehie when he was serving as Ghana's ambassador to Liberia. The idea was embraced by his colleagues in the diplomatic circles, and after months of deliberations, the Council on Foreign Relations Ghana has now been outdoored in Accra. The outdooring ceremony of the latest foreign policy think tank in Africa attracted creme de la creme in the world of diplomacy in Ghana, including former foreign ministers, ambassadors and members of the diplomatic corps. Among the aims and objectives of the Council on Foreign Relations Ghana undertaking research into Ghana's foreign policy, organizing seminars and conferences on international issues, publishing memoirs of former diplomats, articles on international issues, and creating a platform for visiting dignitaries to share perspective on public and international affairs. The president of CFR Ghana, Ambassador D.K. Osei, said the establishment of the council will help in mobilizing the rich and diverse Ghanaian experts in international relations, peace and security issues at the disposal of the government, the public and academia. He touched on a series of programs including lectures lined up to be held within this year.
We already have plans to launch a distinguished guest lecturer series. This will start sometime in March, I think on the 22nd of March. The first one will be delivered by the British diplomat and politician that many of you may know, Baroness Valerie Amos, and that is on the 22nd of March. In April, there will be a second lecture to be delivered by the Special Representative of the UN Secretary General in West Africa and the Sahel, and that will be on the current security threats in the sub-region and the implications on Ghana's own security.
The Minister for Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, Madam Shelley Ayokobotri, lauded the initiative, adding the establishment of a think tank solely for foreign policy will go a long way to bolster Ghana's image among the community of nations.
Last year, the ministry organized a special retreat on Ghana's foreign policy. The purpose was to brainstorm on what ought to be our priorities in this rapidly changing global environment full of formidable challenges, and also to consider new approaches to our foreign policy interventions, including engaging with civil society organizations and the media.
Ghana's former foreign minister and diplomat, Ambassador Victor Gbehu, described the formation of the CFR Ghana as historic because it is happening under the aegis of President Akufo-Addo, who played a crucial role in the call for reforms at the African Union and the UN Security Council when he was foreign minister from 2005 to 2007.
I am certain, Mr. President, that once you set the record of high regard for the Council's work, succeeding presidents, regardless of their political inclination, will want to keep up the institution and tradition.
President Akufo-Addo said the establishment of CFR Ghana is long overdue and called on members of the council to use their expertise to deepen the discourse on international issues in the country.
As the saying goes, foreign policy is an extension of domestic policy. As one American author succinctly put it, foreign policy begins at home. I would therefore expect CFR Ghana to assist us to keep our eyes on the ball in a manner that allows us to deal with critical challenges at home, on the continent, and amongst multilateral institutions. I urge you also to reach out to businessmen, economists, industrialists, technologists, and academics in our society to create an unrivaled intellectual and a practical think tank whose programs, projects, and studies, I'm certain, will permit Ghana to address her challenges effectively.
Members of the Council on Foreign Relations Ghana include Ambassadors D.K. Osei, Cabral Bril Amehie, Kwame Tingran, Lawrence R.A. Satu, Ya Osei, William Awinado Kanyirigi, Mrs. Nana Bema Kumi, Mrs. Maureen Amametoko, Mrs. Edith Hazel, Mr. Abraham Agbozo, Colonel Festus Buahia Buaji, Mr. Kweku Sechiado, Mr. Kojo Benjil Echil, Mr. Egbert Fable Jr., Dr. Linda Equia Opoma Dakwa, Edward Nyakun, reporting for GBC 24.